Hi.
Iran greeted him, busy in the kitchen with dinner.
Why so late tonight?
Come up to the roof, he said. I want to show you something.
You bought an animal.
She followed him out of the apartment.
You shouldn't have gotten it without me. I have a right to participate in the decision, the most important acquisition.
I wanted it to be a surprise, he said.
You made some bounty money today?
Yes. I retired 3 Andys. They entered the elevator. I had to buy this. Something went wrong today, something about retiring them. It wouldn't have been possible for me to go on without getting an animal. The elevator had reached the roof. He led his wife out into the evening darkness, to the cage. Switching on the spotlights, he pointed to the goat.
Oh my God.
Iran said.
Is it really real?
Absolutely real.
It's a goat. A black Nubian goat.
Female. So maybe later on we can mate her, and we'll get milk out of which we can make cheese.
Can we let her out? Put her where the sheep is?
She ought to be tethered, he said, for at least a few days.
My life is love and pleasure,
Iran said.
An old song by Joseph Strauss, remember? When we first met?
She kissed him.
Much love and very much pleasure.
Thanks, he said, and hugged her.
Let's run downstairs and give thanks to Mercer. Then we can come up here again and right away name her. She needs a name.
Something warned him. Something made him say, let's not go down to the apartment yet. Let's stay up here with the goat. The elevator, however, had come. Iran, wait! She held the elevator door from sliding shut.
Get in, Rick. This'll be just for a moment. You hardly ever undergo fusion. I want you to transmit the mood you're in now to everyone else. It would be immoral to keep it for ourselves.
She was, of course, right. At the Penfield mood organ, Iran Deckard sat with her right index finger touching the numbered dial. But she did not dial. She felt too listless and ill to want anything. She wondered again where Rick had gone. He may be coming back, and on the other hand, he may not be, she said to herself. A knock sounded. She ran to the door. There he stood, a cut on his cheek, his clothes wrinkled and gray. Dust clung to every part of him, except his eyes. Round with awe his eyes shone, like those of a little boy. It's nice to see you, he said. I have something. He held a cardboard box with both hands. When he entered the apartment, he did not set it down, as if, she thought, it contained something too fragile and too valuable to let go of.
I'll fix you a cup of coffee.
At the stove, she pressed the coffee button, and in a moment had put the mug by his place at the kitchen table. Still holding the box, he seated himself, and on his face the round-eyed wonder remained. In all the years that she had known him, she had not encountered this expression before. I'm going to sleep, he announced, all day. I phoned in and got Harry Bryant. He said take the day off and rest, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Carefully, he set the box down on the table and picked up his coffee mug. Dutifully, because she wanted him to, he drank his coffee.
What do you have in the box, Rick?
She said. A toad.
Can I see it?
She watched as he untied the box and removed the lid.
Oh. Will it bite?
Pick it up. It won't bite. Toads don't have teeth. Rick lifted the toad out and extended it toward her.
I thought toads were extinct,
she said as she turned it over, curious about its legs. They seemed almost useless.
Can toads jump like frogs? I mean, will it jump out of my hands suddenly?
The legs of toads are weak, Rick said. That's the main difference between a toad and a frog. That and water. A frog remains near water, but a toad can live in the desert. I found this in the desert, up near the Oregon border, where everything had died. He reached to take it back, but she had discovered something. Still holding it upside down, she poked at its abdomen and then, with her nail, located the tiny control panel. She flipped the panel open. His face fell by degrees. Crestfallen, he gazed mutely at the false animal. He took it back from her. He did not seem quite to understand. He then carefully replaced it in its box. I wonder how it got out there in the desolate part of California like that. Somebody must have put it there. No way to tell what for.
Maybe I shouldn't have told you about it being electrical.
No. I'm glad to know. Or rather, I'd prefer to know.
Do you want to use the mood organ to feel better? You always have gotten a lot out of it, more than I ever have.
I'll be okay. He shook his head, as if trying to clear it, still bewildered. The spider Mercer gave the chicken head, Isidore. It probably was artificial too. But it doesn't matter. The electric things have their lives too, paltry as those lives are.
You look as though you've walked 100 miles.
It's been a long day. He nodded.
Go get into bed and sleep.
He stared at her then, as if perplexed. It's over, isn't it?
It's over.
God, what a marathon assignment. Once I began, there wasn't any way for me to stop. You were right this morning when you said I'm nothing but a crude cop with crude cop hands.
I don't feel that anymore. I'm just damn glad to have you come back home where you ought to be.
She kissed him, and that seemed to please him. His face lit up, almost as much as before she had shown him that the toad was electric. Did you think I did wrong? He asked. What I did today?
No.
Mercer said it was wrong, but I should do it anyhow. It's really weird. Sometimes it's better to do something wrong than right.
It's the curse on us,
Iran said.
That Mercer talks about.
The dust? He asked.
The killers that found Mercer in his 16th year, when they told him he couldn't reverse time and bring things back to life again. So now all he can do is move along with life, going where it goes to death. And the killers throw the rocks. It's they who are doing it, still pursuing him. And all of us, actually. Did one of them cut your cheek where it's been bleeding?
Yes.
Will you go to bed now? If I set the mood organ to a 670 setting?
What does that bring about? He asked.
Long-deserved peace.
He got to his feet, stood painfully, drowsy and confused, and then, by degrees, he progressed to the bedroom. Okay, he said. Long-deserved peace. He stretched out on the bed, dust sifting from his clothes and hair onto the white sheets. No need to turn on the mood organ, Iran realized as she pressed the button which made the windows of the bedroom opaque. The gray light of day disappeared. On the bed, Rick, after a moment, slept. She stayed there for a time, keeping him in sight to be sure he wouldn't wake up, wouldn't spring up to a sitting position in fear as he sometimes did at night. And then, presently, she returned to the kitchen, reseated herself at the kitchen table. Next to her, the electric toad flopped and rustled in its box. She wondered what it ate, and what repairs on it would run. Opening the phone book, she looked in the yellow pages under Animal Accessories, Electric, and dialed.
I'd like to order 1 pound of artificial flies that really fly around and buzz, please.
Is it for an electric turtle, ma'am?
A toad.
Oh, well then I suggest our mixed assortment of artificial crawling and flying bugs of all types, including...
The flies will do. Will you deliver? I don't want to leave my apartment. My husband's asleep, and I want to be sure he's all right.
For a toad, the clerk said, I'd suggest also a perpetually renewing puddle, unless it's a horned toad, in which case there's a kit containing sand, multicolored pebbles, and bits of organic debris. And if you're going to be putting it through a feed cycle regularly, I'd suggest you let our service department make a periodic tongue adjustment. In a toad, that's vital.
Fine. I want it to work perfectly. My husband is devoted to it.
She gave her address and hung up, and feeling better, fixed herself at last a cup of coffee.